All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to talk about something you don't see much, but it's everywhere. Stealth wealth. The idea that true financial power isn't about flashing cash, it's about what you build behind the scenes. So, what's really going on in the minds of people who live this way? Let's dive in. So, let's just jump right in with a question. And it's one that kind of flies in the face of, well, everything you see on Instagram, right? We're constantly told that if you've got it, you've got to flaunt it. But what if that's all wrong? What if the very act of trying to look rich is the number one thing keeping you poor? And this quote, this one from Joel O'Leary, really just nails it. I've never cared about looking rich. I care about being rich. See? It's not about the show. It's about the reality. It's about your actual financial health. And that is the huge idea we're going to unpack today. First up, the wealth illusion. Let's peel back the curtain a little bit and look at what we think wealth is versus what it actually is for the people who've quietly built it. Okay, so on one side you have the illusion, right? The luxury cars, the designer everything, the fancy clubs, all the stuff that screams, I made it. But then look at the other side. That's the reality for a lot of truly wealthy people. It's not about stuff, it's about financial freedom. It's about investments that grow while you sleep. It's about having more time with your family and maybe most importantly, just less stress. See the difference? One depreciates, the other appreciates. All right, next section, your brain on spending, and this is where it gets really interesting, because this pull to look rich, it's not just about keeping up with the Joneses. It's actually wired deep inside our brains. Let's talk about how our own minds can trick us into making some pretty bad money moves. So there's this idea from behavioral economics about our brains having two operating systems. You've got system one, which is your gut. It's fast, it's emotional, it's automatic. It's that little voice that goes, ooh, shiny, it's a bargain, gotta have it. Then you've got system two. That's the slow, logical, analytical part of your brain. The one that actually stops and asks, wait a minute, do I actually need this? And guess which system marketers are talking to? Yep, almost always system one. And one of the biggest tricks our brain plays on us is something called loss aversion. Basically, the pain of losing, say, $100 feels about twice as bad as the pleasure of gaining $100. It's why we make some really weird choices, like buying that super expensive extended warranty on a TV that almost never breaks. We're so scared of the idea of losing money to a repair down the line that we willingly lose money right now to avoid that feeling. And our brains are full of these little mental shortcuts, or heuristics. They're designed to help us make decisions faster, but they can totally backfire with money. Like anchoring. The first price you see for something sets the bar, so any discount from that feels like a great deal, even if it's not. Or conspicuous consumption, which is literally just buying stuff to look good and project a certain image. These shortcuts are powerful, and they're happening all the time. Okay, moving on. What wealth doesn't buy. So what happens when you actually manage to ignore all those brain tricks? Well, you start to see some really interesting and maybe surprising spending habits from people who are truly wealthy. Yeah, it really boils down to this. What are you actually buying? Are you buying a status symbol, something that's going to be worth less the second you own it? Or are you buying your own freedom by taking that same money and putting it to work for you? Let's use a perfect everyday example. Okay, cars, the classic example. Your System 1 brain sees that brand new $60,000 luxury car and says, yes, I've made it. I deserve this. But the System 2 brain, the logical one, sees a rapidly depreciating asset. So, the stealth wealth approach? Maybe you buy a $20,000 super reliable used Toyota Sienna, you pay cash, and that extra 40 grand, you invest it. So while the luxury car is losing value every single day, that 40 grand is now out there making more money for you. It's a total mindset shift. And this exact same thinking applies inside the home, too. You might think a millionaire's house is stuffed with every high-tech gadget and luxury item imaginable, but a lot of the time, it's the opposite. They're skipping the crazy home theaters, the single-use kitchen tools, the $1,000 sheets. Because why? It's just clutter. They value function and simplicity way more. And look, this isn't about being a cheapskate. It is about being intentional. Like this quote says, they'd rather have the counter space to actually cook than a bunch of appliances they never use. So instead of buying that fancy sous vide machine that's going to end up in a closet, they'll buy one amazing chef's knife or a set of pans that will literally last forever. They're investing in the experience, not just the stuff. Okay, next chapter, the old money code. Because for some folks, this isn't just a smart financial strategy, it's a whole cultural thing. It's a code that's been passed down for generations. And this code, it's all about being subtle. It's about a deep dislike for tacky, obvious logos. It's about valuing timeless quality and, really importantly, treating everyone with respect and politeness. There's also this huge value placed on repairing things. Getting a great pair of shoes resold instead of just tossing them and buying a new pair. It's a totally different way of thinking about ownership. And this Reddit comment just sums it up perfectly. To this crowd, true class is all about how you carry yourself, your manners, your behavior. It has nothing to do with your bank statement. In fact, making a big show of your money is actually seen as kind of insecure. It's the opposite of what they respect. All right, so let's bring this all home. How can we actually use these ideas? Let's talk about building intentional wealth, because really it all boils down to that one single word, intentionality. And this is maybe the most important takeaway of the whole thing. Stealth wealth is not about being miserable or depriving yourself of everything you enjoy. Not at all. It's about being incredibly deliberate with your money, your time, and your attention. It's about making sure your spending actually lines up with what you value, not what society tells you to value.
A huge piece of being intentional is understanding debt. There's good debt, and then there's high interest debt. Good debt is when you borrow money to buy an asset that can grow in value. Think a reasonable mortgage or a smart business loan. But high interest debt, like credit card balances or payday loans, that stuff just erodes your future. It's like trying to fill a budget with a giant hole in it.
So what does this look like in practice? Well, here's a simple framework. Focus on owning shares, not just stuff. Choose to spend your money on time and freedom, not more clutter. Learn to cook amazing meals at home instead of always eating out. Use your credit cards like a tool. Get the rewards, but pay them off every single month. And maybe most crucial of all, build that emergency fund. It's your shield against having to rely on credit when life happens. So in the end, it really all comes down to asking yourself one simple question before you make your next purchase. Is this buying me a real asset, or is it just buying an illusion? And honestly, the answer to that question could completely change your financial life. Thanks for tuning in.